Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. Oh, crap. The House versus NCAA settlement. Is it in jeopardy? Also, we got to talk about Title IX, too. This thing's never going to end.
It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I'm telling you, this is just... we've been talking about how this is going to get real messy, and there's just been a hand grenade thrown into this thing. Yeah, the Department of Justice just filed a statement of interest in the House versus NCAA. In other words, we have something to say, and you'd better listen to us. It says the State Department said in an 11-page filing on Friday, the DOJ said that the settlement may not cure the ill effects of the illegal conduct. And if you've kept up with this, you know the Supreme Court pretty much accused the NCAA of being a criminal organization, for lack of a better way of putting it. It says the proposed settlement allows the NCAA, an adjudicated monopsonist, which means monopoly, I'm assuming, to continue fixing the amount its member schools can pay students for their use of name, image, and likeness. And you know we've talked about the settlement. I'll show you that real quick. It's a revenue sharing plan of about $20 million per school they can use out of their revenue. It's usually about 10%. Most schools are around $200 million, 250, the big ones anyway. And of course, additional scholarships and some back damages to kids that weren't allowed to make any money. Now, this was a settlement amongst 3 class action lawsuits. So to me, it's not like the kids or the college athletes had nothing to say about this, because clearly they did. They had their attorneys from that lawsuit involved in this heavily. But again, it's still not the same as collective bargaining, where you have a union, you have all the members of the union, their employees, and then the union represents them and the entirety. That's not the case in this situation. Civil Rights Division chimed in, said future revenue distributions from an institution are classified as financial assistance. If not proportionally divided, schools would risk violating Title IX. We're going to get into Title IX, don't worry. Now, one very important part of this, it's coming just before you're getting ready to have a new president. Now, calm down. I'm not going to talk politics. You need to relax. I may use words that are in politics. I don't want anybody, comment section, you can't dare talk about politics. It says the life expectancy of a DOJ statement of interest made on January 17th is about 3 days. So some people don't think it's going to sway the judge at all. However, Title IX is not going to just sit back and say, oh, well, you just do whatever you want. Oh, yeah, you can give all the money to the male athletes and I'll just sit back and get some scraps. That's not how Title IX works. We'll talk about that. It says, while the proposed settlement allows some relief, it still functions as an artificial price cap on what free market competition may otherwise yield. The proposed settlement continues to restrict the compensation college athletes may receive from their school, replacing one cap with another. Now, I do agree with that. They are placing a cap on it, which would be good for the smaller schools, you know, because here's what's going to happen. This thing's going to keep accelerating. You're going to have a handful of schools that have huge donors and huge money, and they're just going to walk away with all the best athletes and beat the crap out of everybody. Now, that's not some huge change of what we've had in the past, because Alabama had all the best athletes for years and years with Nick Saban, and there was no revenue sharing. Everybody calm down. Oh, he was giving them cars. No, who knows? I don't know. Let me do my show. I can already hear your comments now. It's already in my head. Then it said, setting aside whether the party's assertion is correct, it overlooks an important difference for antitrust purposes. While professional athletes can rely on their unions to bargain on their behalf, college athletes have no such representation. Now let's get into Title IX. This was on Ross Dellinger's X, and this was another item they put in. It said, compensation from a school for use of a student athlete's NIL qualifies as financial assistance. Under Title IX must be made available to male and female student athletes in a manner that is substantially proportionate to the number of students of each sex participating in the college athletics. In other words, they want it kind of split down the middle. And here's the problem with that. All the money comes in because of college football and then college basketball. There is some money brought in other sports, but primarily it's those two sports. Now, women do participate in college basketball, obviously, but not football. And football's a lion's share. So What Title IX is going to want to do is say, yeah, the money may be coming from here, but we don't want to look at that. We want to say, put it all in a pool, then split it up. Now, the world doesn't work that way, but Title IX doesn't live in the real world. It lives in academia land. So schools remain responsible for ensuring that they are offering equal athletic opportunities in their athletic programs, including the NIL context. And it goes on, says schools remain responsible for ensuring that they are offering equal opportunity, blah, 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 equal money, etc. Then it says down here, athletes, NIL, such assistance also must be made proportionally available to male and female athletes. Now, we've been talking about this for months. There was no way Title IX was just going to sit back and say, oh, yeah, we'll take 10%, 15, whatever, that's fine. They were never going to do that. That's why I was concerned this House versus NCAA settlement just wasn't going to pan out the way you would think it would. I don't see this going anywhere but into a bigger mess, because at some point, somebody's not going to like their NIL deal. And remember, this is all going to this $20 million that you can split up and say 15 of it goes to college football. And then they're going to have a 7-person panel that's going to decide NIL. See, you've got the revenue share over here, then you've got the NIL over here. And what they've said in the settlement is that a 7-person panel will decide if NIL is actual and real and not some made-up crap that somebody said, hey, this is pay for play. It has to be, hey, you know, you're really at a car lot, you're really doing these things to make money for your name, image, and likeness, and it's worth what the market would bear. And as soon as somebody gets some $2 million, $3 million NIL deal on top of their revenue sharing, and that panel says, boom, nope, you can't do that, they're going to sue them. And when they go into court, most likely they're going to win, because this all has to do with the Sherman Act, the antitrust, and all that kind of stuff.
My baby. Shum.
And as long as you're in any way keeping somebody from being able to make their maximum dollar, you're probably going to lose, because the Supreme Court's already ruled on it. That was back in the Alston case. So like we've been talking about, this thing's going to get messier and messier. The next couple, 3 years probably, a lot of this is going to go back and forth, back and forth. The House versus NCAA settlement is going to get us closer to a deal, and eventually this will get hashed out. I don't know what it's going to be, though, because if they go to collective bargaining and union, I don't know how you do that, because all the conferences are set up in different states, all the schools. It's going to be really tricky to get everybody under one roof, especially given the size of the conferences. You've got 2 big dog conferences. You've got 2 slightly smaller ones in ACC and Big 12. Then you've got everybody else. It's going to get real tricky. So anyway, I did want to cover this. I know this is not bringing clarity to this, because there is no clarity, okay? It just isn't. And look for this thing to get weirder and weirder as we go further. Anyway, did want to cover this. I'm going to keep on top of it, and hopefully at some point we'll start seeing a light at the end of the tunnel on this thing. I know a lot of y'all are fed up with this. You're ticked off. You're tired of it. But this is the world we live in with college athletics right now, and it's going to be this way for a while. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but you know, if you come to this channel, I'm going to kind of tell you how it is in reality, not necessarily something that makes you feel great about sports. This is upsetting to a lot of people, and I get that, but this is just where we're headed. I can tell you the athletes don't mind it, not one bit, and I can't blame them for that either. They're getting paid and paid well, and they're loving it. So anyway, if you like this content, and even if you don't, hit this little button right here. It'll help you get my videos, won't cost you a dime. And right over here is the most recent video that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy based on your viewing history. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay. Hopefully I'll have better clarity later on at some point. I don't know. This is tough.
Well, bye.